What if I told you that the man who spent 17 years becoming one of Hollywood's most beloved superheroes almost destroyed his body in the process? Hugh Jackman's final return as Wolverine was not just a comeback story. It was a desperate fight against time, age, and his own physical limitations. In 2017, Hugh Jackman made what he thought was his final bow as Wolverine in Logan. The Australian actor, then 48, believed he had given everything to the character that had defined his career. His body was breaking down from the extreme physical demands, the constant bulking and cutting cycles, and the relentless pressure to maintain superhero physique. He walked away, thinking he would never again feel the weight of those adamantium claws. But what happened next was truly shocking. In 2023, at the age of 54, something changed. Ryan Reynolds had been pleading with him for years to join the Deadpool universe, but Hugh had always said no. Then one morning, while driving through the countryside near his home in Australia, Hugh received a phone call that would change everything. It was not Reynolds this time. It was his own inner voice, telling him he had unfinished business with Logan. The decision to return as Wolverine at 55 was not just about money or fame. Hugh Jackman had been struggling with a profound sense of incompleteness. Despite his success on Broadway, his humanitarian work, and his various film projects, there was a void that only Wolverine could fill. He had ended Logan on such a definitive note that returning felt almost like betraying his own artistic integrity. Yet, something deeper was calling him back. You have not heard the most surprising part yet. When Hugh called his agent to announce his decision to return as Wolverine, even his own representative was shocked. The agent had spent years fielding offers and turning them down on Hugh's behalf. The sudden reversal came so unexpectedly that Hugh had to convince his own team that he was serious. The physical preparation for Deadpool and Wolverine became Hugh's most grueling challenge yet. At 55, his body no longer responded the way it had in his 30s and 40s. The metabolism that once allowed him to bulk up relatively easily had slowed considerably. The joints that had endured decades of intense training now ached with every workout. His trainer warned him that this transformation would be different, harder, more painful, and potentially more dangerous than any previous preparation. Hugh's daily routine became a testament to human determination. He would wake at 4:30 a.m. every morning, spending the first hour in meditation, preparing his mind for the physical ordeal ahead. His breakfast alone contained over 1,200 calories, egg whites, oatmeal, protein shakes, and supplements that filled an entire kitchen counter. By 6 a.m., he was in the gym, pushing his aging body through workout that would challenge athletes half his age. And this is where everything changed. The emotional weight of the transformation began affecting Hugh in ways he had never experienced before. He started questioning whether he was chasing something that no longer belonged to him. During one particularly brutal training session, Hugh broke down crying, not from physical pain, but from the realization that he was fighting against time itself. His wife, Deborah Lee Furness, found him that evening, sitting alone in their kitchen, staring at his reflection in the window. "I do not know if I can do this anymore," he told her, his voice breaking. "My body feels like it is betraying me, and I am not sure if I am honoring Wolverine or just being stubborn." Deborah Lee sat with him in silence for what felt like hours, before finally saying, "Maybe that is exactly what Wolverine would feel like at your age. Maybe that struggle is the story you are meant to tell." The months of preparation took an unexpected toll on Hugh's personal relationships. He became increasingly isolated, obsessed with his diet, his training, and his physical appearance. Friends noticed the conversations with Hugh inevitably turned to his protein intake, his workout schedule, or his body fat percentage. The man known for his warmth and humor had become consumed by the singular focus of becoming Wolverine one more time. But you will not believe what happened during the actual filming. On the first day of shooting Deadpool and Wolverine, Hugh experienced something he had never felt before in all his years playing the character. As he put on the yellow and blue costume for the first time, he felt like he was wearing someone else's skin. The suit that had once felt like a second skin now felt foreign, almost like he was playing dress-up in his own past. Ryan Reynolds noticed Hugh's discomfort immediately. During their first scene together, Reynolds broke character and approached Hugh. "You look like you are seeing a ghost," Reynolds said. Hugh nodded, unable to speak. "I feel like I am becoming one," he finally replied. It was then that Reynolds understood the magnitude of what Hugh was going through. This was not just a return to a beloved character. This was a man confronting his own mortality through the lens of an immortal character. The physical demands of the role proved even more challenging than the preparation. Action sequences that Hugh had once performed with ease now left him exhausted and sore for days. Stunt coordinators had to modify fight choreography to accommodate his aging body. Wire work that had once felt effortless now left his back aching. Yet Hugh pushed through every challenge with a determination that surprised even the crew members who had worked with him on previous X-Men films. What truly shocked everyone was Hugh's emotional connection to the character during this final portrayal. In previous Wolverine films, Hugh had accessed Logan's rage and pain through method acting techniques. But now, at 55, he no longer needed to pretend. The frustration of an aging body, the weight of unfulfilled dreams, the fear of irrelevance, these emotions lived within Hugh himself. When Wolverine screamed with rage on screen, it was Hugh Jackman screaming at the limitations of his own humanity. The most powerful moment came during a particularly intense scene where Wolverine confronts his own failures and regrets. Hugh drew from his own experience of returning to a character he thought he had left behind forever. The tears that flowed were not scripted. They were the genuine emotions of a man who had spent his entire adult life defined by a role, only to discover that letting go was more difficult than he had ever imagined. And this is where the story takes its most unexpected turn. During post-production, Hugh made a decision that nobody saw coming. While watching the rough cut of Deadpool and Wolverine, he realized that this film had given him something that Logan had not: closure through joy rather than tragedy. The dark, somber ending of Logan had left Hugh feeling emotionally drained and depressed for months. But seeing himself alongside Reynolds, bringing humor and lightness to Wolverine's story, Hugh felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He called Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, with a proposal that stunned everyone in the room. Hugh wanted to make one more Wolverine appearance, not in another solo film, but in Avengers Doomsday. Not for the money, not for the fame, but because he finally understood how he wanted Logan's story to truly end. This time, it would not be through sacrifice and death, but through acceptance and peace. The announcement sent shockwaves through Hollywood and broke the internet. Fans who had mourned Wolverine's death in Logan suddenly had hope for one more adventure. But for Hugh, it was not about fan service or corporate obligations. It was about a 55-year-old man learning to make peace with the passage of time, with the changes in his body, and with the reality that some chapters of our lives deserve to be closed on our own terms. What Hugh Jackman discovered through his return as Wolverine was something profound about human experience. We spend so much of our lives trying to recapture our past selves, fighting against the natural progression of time, that we sometimes miss the beauty in our current struggles. His journey back to Wolverine was not really about becoming the character again. It was about accepting who he had become as a person. Today, as Hugh prepares for what may truly be his final portrayal of Wolverine, he approaches it with a wisdom that only comes from walking through the fire of self-doubt and emerging stronger. He has learned that true strength is not about maintaining the perfect physique or recapturing past glory. It is about having the courage to show up authentically with all your scars, all your limitations, and all your hard-earned wisdom. The man who once feared he was too old to be Wolverine has become something even more powerful. A living example that our greatest battles are not with external enemies, but with our own expectations of who we think we should be. Hugh Jackman's final stand as Wolverine is not just entertainment. It is a masterclass in graceful aging, authentic vulnerability, and the courage to write your own ending.